I laugh at myself all the time, but
Yeah.
that was a shameful part that I had to learn how to laugh at, which
Yeah.
is absolutely tough to do. But I laugh at every aspect of it now, and which makes it so much easier to talk about because
Yeah.
I'm not hiding from. I'm actively trying to grow from it.
Mm.
It becomes something where you can either laugh at it, and once you start to remove some of the shame, then you can see the humor. It's like when
Right.
overcoming grief, and I
Yeah.
can find the humor in things. That's where I
Yeah.
think.
This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
Sober Strong apparel isn't just lifestyle wear, it's battle gear. We rep sobriety like a badge of honor, and every piece you throw on says you're part of the crew that doesn't back down. Every order fuels recovery with 10% donated to treatment facilities. Hit SoberStrongApparel.com and use code ROCKBOTTOM at checkout for 10% off. Stay sober, stay true, rep the crew.
All right, welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan, and here with co-host Rachel Sereni, and then we got our guest who's back on. He was on about a month and a half ago, Joseph Pennell. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Excited to get into it again. Let's do it.
Awesome. Glad to have you back. So today, since we've talked about your background story before, your experience in the military and what you do for the government and how you worked as a guard in the prison system, I believe. So you've been around the block a little. So we kind of wanted to elaborate more on what we discussed when it came to mental health and how you and I, it sounds like we both suffered from a lot of anxiety growing up, and that kind of maybe led to a lot of our drinking. And Rachel, I think you can relate to that as well. So maybe we can go into just Joe, where you're at now, and like how you're doing with your mental health now in comparison to where you were at before drinking, and how you kind of improved on a lot of those thoughts and stuff that you had when it come to anxiety and depression and all that.
Yeah. So right now, I mean, I still exhibit all the symptoms of, depression. I still have anxiety almost daily. So nothing has really changed there. I've been able to lessen the anxiety over time. And so I took a sort of analytical approach to my sobriety. And so what I had discovered about myself was if I drink 100% of the time that I have anxiety, and I have anxiety 80% of my life or 80% of my days, that means that 80% of my days I'm drinking. So if I can lessen that 80% to 20%, I've effectively cut out 60% of my drinking, at least to some extent. And then what do I do with that remaining 20%? If I try to reduce the amplitude or the duration of my anxiety, I might be able to pass over some of those tripping blocks that will prompt me to drink. So, I mean, I still have all that anxiety. I do. And I'm just able to manage it a little bit better. I'm able to lessen it. So it's still there every day, but I manage it a lot better currently.
Yes.
How about you, Rachel? Like, did you
Anxiety.
how was
What's
your
your question?
anxiety like before drinking, and how was it like when you started to rely on alcohol, and then how is it now?
Okay, so before drinking, I used to, and I noticed something was wrong. I was a troubled teenager, so it came off as I was just trying to skip school. In reality, and I wasn't sharing it with my dad, but I was terrified of the hallways because I'm a short little thing, and there's seniors and there's a whole bunch of people in the hallway, and it actually gave me palpitations. I didn't know that was anxiety at the time, but I was scared. I didn't want to go to school, so I skipped. Then I went off to play beer pong with 211s and stuff like that. But then the drinking would progress and the alcoholism started happening throughout my life. And then the anxiety would happen and I would keep drinking to not feel that, get the dopamine high. And then it would just be a repeated cycle of waking up and being like, well, I have a panic disorder at 3 a.m. I've told this to Joseph before. 3 a.m. I'm having palpitations. Like, no, girl, it's because you've been drinking. You sedated yourself. You actually weren't sleeping. And then it was just on and on and on. And then all day, I'm like, oh man, I have to take my Xanax. And then you drink, you black out. Now in sobriety with anxiety, I also found out I have ADHD severely. A lot of people say this, but I really, really do in sobriety. But with anxiety, I tune it into, I move my body a lot. I work out if I can 5 days a week, 6 days a week. I try to give you have to rest. Like that's just part of recovery. You have to. And it's very hard for me to rest with ADHD and anxiety, to just sit still, watch a movie and relax. I can't do that. It's not easy for me. And I used to sit there with alcohol to just kind of numb it. And I was able to sit there with my bottle of wine in bed. And then I turned on my shows. I don't remember any of the shows, but yeah, that's how I would cope with it. But now it's moving my body. I'm very heavy into meditation. And those are the two things I personally do now to help my anxiety. It's not completely gone, but that's what I do. And what about you? What do you do?
What do I do? Yeah, my anxiety pretty much developed at a young age, ever since I was a kid. Like, I started off really shy, and I would only be comfortable when I was one-on-one with people and all that. And then, but my anxiety would always kick in when there was crowds of people and all that. So when I started drinking, it was a way for me to break out of that shell and then just be comfortable in my own skin around groups of people and finally just let loose a little. And once that evolved into, like, when, like you said, the anxiety, at the time, I didn't realize it was alcohol causing it. I would wake up shaky, heart beating out of my chest, sweating and stuff. And I just thought, oh, I'm having panic attacks. And I'd go to the doctor, and I remember they would always ask me, like, oh, how much you've been drinking? And I would always lie about it. I'd just be like, well, I drink every now and again. I have a few beers a night sometimes. And, obviously that was like a tenth of what I really drank. And I never knew they were trying to kind of tell me, hey, you probably have a problem with alcohol if it's causing your body to react this way, And so the more I drank into my 20s and 30s, the anxiety got worse. And then I became reliant on it to cure the anxiety, kind of like you said, to make up for that dopamine high, chase it so that I felt normal. But I realized, like, it got bad when my anxiety was still existing when I was drinking. Like, I still, like, was just as bad if I were even 10 drinks deep and, like, drunk. I would still never feel like how I used to feel when I was drinking. So once I got sober, I started to see the anxiety just, like, taper off, like, the longer I was sober. Like, even in the first, like, 30 days, I think I started to feel comfortable again. And I think a lot of that had to do with the medication they had put me on in treatments and stuff. So I think finally not drinking on medication was effective. And then just letting things come to me and going to meetings started to get me comfortable in groups sober with other people that have, talked about the same things. They said a lot of them suffered from anxiety. Like, even today, a guy said that he looked like a hardcore biker guy who looked pretty intimidating, but he said, like, he was scared of people before he started drinking. And I totally could relate to him, because people looked at me and they didn't think that I was ever scared of people. But in my head, I was scared shitless a lot of the time. But I put on this really good mask, whether I was sober or drinking. Now I just think, I do a lot of exercise. Sometimes I fall off and don't work out for a few days or a week sometimes. But then when I'm into it, I am, like, nonstop dedicated. Like, lately I've got back into it, and it really helps, just blowing off steam, sweating out the tension, and you get in your thoughts, you get to deal with things a little better in your head. And that's always good. As far as
what's interesting is that my anxiety around people actually lessened when I stopped drinking.
same.
Because I would have it when I was younger, where if I was in crowds, I would get anxiety. And then as soon as I introduced drinking into it, the moment I got into a crowd, it's almost as if I anticipated the drink because I was anticipating getting nervous. And then once I removed the alcohol, I realized there was nothing there to mask it. I wasn't anticipating.
Yeah.
Same here.
I could
Like,
relate.
the more I got sober, the more I realized I have much less anxiety I had even before I drank. Like, once I started drinking, it obviously got worse. But then I realized I sometimes talk now to people that I never thought I would, and at the different times that I never thought I would. And I used to just hesitate and overthink things before talking, and now everything kind of comes out more naturally now. And I'm like, wow, how did it take having 17 years of alcoholism with anxiety and then quitting it to cure the anxiety? I have no clue, but it's weird how that works.
Confidence.
Yeah,
You
it's
build
just kind of
confidence.
confidence. And yeah, I think
But
overcoming a really tough disease does build your confidence a little.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't think so, because there's those moments of I'm broken, and now people are going to know. But once you realize that you overcome something, it boosts your confidence. I started talking to people at like grocery stores. I would actually make it a point. I was doing a little social experiment where I would see how like cashiers would respond to me using their name, and see how they would perk up, because you notice them in some kind of way and start a conversation. And that little social experiment actually prompted me to just start in conversation with random people, because I kept doing it over and over. I didn't
Yeah.
know this little experiment to keep my brain occupied was actually helping me talk to people. So
Exactly.
That's nice,
Yep.
actually. So you probably
Yep.
got a lot of people
Rachel,
smiling.
yeah, it would you would see the energy was a little bit different. It was fun to see, because all of a sudden it became, oh, okay, yeah, it move a little differently, and I'm like, oh, something small.
yeah,
Mhm.
I did this promise to myself because I was getting these panic attacks the last time I was in AA prior to relapsing, and I was hitting this anxiety in the meetings where I just like was shaking when I was drinking my coffee, and I hadn't even drank in a couple of months, so I was just had legit anxiety. And I told myself when I got out of treatment and was going to go back to AA, I told myself, I'm going to talk every day. Even if I say just a couple of things, I'm just going to force myself to just train myself to be comfortable talking again, because I was comfortable in treatment and there's no reason I should let the anxiety win this time around. And so it's kind of like exposure therapy a little bit. You're just kind of forcing yourself to just be in those situations that used to haunt you. And the more you do it, the more this starts to be less scary. So,
Yeah, I think when you start to believe, just like when you're in rehab, and you realize I'm not going anywhere, you realize there is no alcohol here, and you start to believe that there are no other options. I think those things, such as forcing yourself to speak, and this is what I'm going to do every day, even something small, and you actually believe that, then it becomes, you get a little bit more confidence and you get a little less anxiety, because there is no other choice. You've at least
exactly.
put that on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of situations that you really can't say no to, and you got to go through with them. So it's like you can't let anxiety cripple you in some situations. I mean, there have been things where I literally ran or canceled a plan or did this all because I was building up these like outcomes in my head. And none of those things were even possible. But you just start to think, what if this happens? What if everybody looks at me and like I do something stupid and they all laugh or something? And it's like, sometimes you just got to shake those things off, and it's easier said than done, but I've had to do that before, and it's kind of frustrating. But thankfully I don't get in my head like I used to. I just kind of jump at it, and I'm like, whatever happens, happens. If I screw up, if I say something stupid, it's just how it goes.
Sweet.
Yeah. And it's
Right.
like being sober, we all have like all these difficult things that we're talking about now that we did in the past. And it's like, kind of have to look back and laugh at them, kind of like who we interviewed yesterday, who talked about just like looking back and laughing at it, because we can't control what happened in the past or what we did or what we said or whatever. It's like we got to live with it and just be who we are now. So, yeah.
You need to have a sense of humor to go through this.
Yeah.
And to even just, because I'll look back at stuff that I did, and for the most part I look back and I'm like, oh shit. But there's other things, just the way I live my life. I laugh at myself all the time, but that was a shameful part that I had to learn how to laugh at, which it's absolutely tough to do. But I laugh at every aspect of it now, which makes it so much easier to talk about, because I'm not hiding from imperfections. I'm actively trying to grow from it. It becomes something where you can either laugh at it, and once you start to remove some of the shame, then you can see the humor. It's like when
Right.
overcoming grief. My brother passed away. There'd be some comedians that would talk about things that would really hit home. And I would listen to that. I'm like, I shouldn't find it funny, but it is. And so if I took the viewpoint of grieving, I would be offended by it. But since I had to take the viewpoint of taking it for what it is, which is what life is, it is what it is. And I could find the humor in things. And that's where I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
So true.
Oh yeah. Dark humor queen here. So
Speak of dark humor, I had a few questions here I wanted to ask you guys and kind of get some honest answers since we're not as anxious as we used to be. I guess we can open up about some difficult subjects, but what is something dark you've learned about yourself in recovery? Dark humor could be an example.
Bitch, I'll let you go first. You gotta think about it.
I can't share that one, what just happened past weekend. Can't share that. Too many people listen to this. Well, I could reword it.
Yeah, let's reword it.
Dark. Okay, let's reword this because a lot of family listens to this. Rewording that I am still batshit. I'm still batshit. I'm batshit. I thought it was the alcohol. I thought that was my alter ego, Rachel, Ratchet Rachel. She's still in there. She's still in there. So I would love to blame it on inner anger, but I was tested. I mean, I was really tested this weekend. So for me to get to Ratchet Rachel, how I was when I was blackout and trying to fight people and get out of pocket, that for me, you have to like poke the bear now in sobriety. You have to really, 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 really get me mad. And I was tested this weekend and I almost flew off the handle and I almost really flew off the handle and like flipped furniture type thing. And I didn't. I breathed through it and I had family around me and I got through it. But dark about me in sobriety, I'm still 100% not gonna lie, I am batshit. But you gotta really poke me though. So she's still in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That's,
I mean,
yeah,
I've always been a little bit dark. I've always had a lot of deep-seated anger that takes a lot to get out of me.
yeah,
I've been
Uh-huh.
very good about it. And, for better or for worse, I treat myself like shit, but no matter what happens to me, I treat others around me good. And so it's always taken a lot for me to be pushed to a point where I would lash out. And I have stories before I had memories. My mother would tell me this stuff that I would do with people who push me. And I didn't realize how much of a fighter I was. Apparently I was when I was, younger and I guess less calm. At this point, I think I'm just and this isn't necessarily dark, but it's more so I'm more honest about the things that with when it comes to like boundary setting, when it comes to things that piss me off, I'm more honest about them. I believe because I'm less worried about perception when it comes to it for a number of reasons. Number one, cat's already out of the bag. I've already identified one of my greatest weaknesses. So what's another thing added to it? Two, when I was drinking, I was so worried about the perception of me that I would be extra mindful of the things that I would say and how I would say them. That now I care less. Like I believe that this whole entire process, you have to be extremely honest with yourself. And I do still catch myself, depending on who it is, being extra cautious in how I say things because I am an empathetic person, uh, except when it comes to me and anything has to do with me, I still stab myself as often as I
yeah,
can. But I'm just less worried about how I say things because I'm being more truthful in general.
yeah. Don't sugarcoat things and have some kind of, fault, response to something that you're just, saying to make somebody feel better. It's good just to be straight up, and people usually
Yeah.
appreciate it. Sensitive people
Yes.
can get offended, but I would rather them get the truth,
I agree.
rather than
Mhm.
beat around the bush, like that's
No, I don't do that.
it's kind of like my answer to this question. And it's like I've learned that and it is kind of dark in a way, but like I feel like in sobriety I expected to be a little more sensitive and emotional to things, and I realized I'm still kind of almost more cold in some senses than I was even drinking or prior to drinking. Like prior to drinking, I was a really sensitive person. Like I'd cry pretty quickly, and like I'd be very worried about things myself and other people all the time. And then when I drank, I kind of, stopped caring a little bit. But when in sobriety, for some reason, I've just been a lot more unemotional to things and unresponsive to things. When people, I've been told by 3 or 4 people in my sobriety, people that got to know me pretty well, the people who have known me for a while, they're just kind of like, you're so cold in this situation, and literally use that word. So I've kind of just realized, I've really got to get more in touch with my emotions in sobriety. But I think I just put on this really, I don't know, I wouldn't say tough front or anything like that when I got out of treatment, but I just put on this, like, I'm going to focus and I'm not going to let anything break me down kind of attitude. And I think maybe I took it a little too far, but that's been something that's kind of maybe held me back a little bit in sobriety, is just not letting my emotions get the best of me. But sometimes they should be able to get the best of you. So, yeah.
Yeah, I actually went the opposite way. I
Mhm.
mean, it's interesting. Anybody that's met me after sobriety, I mean, not like anybody, because I don't just sit there and start crying in front of random people that I don't know. Um, but before sobriety, I had a really hard time showing emotions. I had a really hard time, like, sitting there at like my brother's break side or somebody's random wake, and I'm like, I should be crying right now, and I just can't. And so, one of the things that people told me, like when I was deployed, was how stable I was, because I wouldn't get too high, I wouldn't get too low. I never showed weakness. And since sobriety, I like to think that I'm a pretty tough individual, but I weak. And it's okay for me to say, because, well, I really just don't care as much anymore. But I'm still mindful. I'm still mindful of where I'm at. There's still a lot of situations where my body just won't let me. But if I am comfortable, it's going to happen. And so, I hope that I'm able to shut it off at the right time.
Yeah, I think it's all situational, and if you can turn it on at the right time, turn it off at the right time. If you can do that, I feel like you're handling things perfectly.
Yeah, I think I'm going to combust at any point, but
Yeah. No, and like you said earlier, I'm kind of the same way. It's like I've always kind of thought I had anger issues, but I think most of it was in my head and I would hardly ever react on it. And when people would be like, "Oh, you're so patient, you can do anything," I'm like, you don't know what's going on in my head. I'm about to lose my shit half the time. So,
yeah, yeah.
uh,
So for any of those big, strong men out there, just
yeah,
weep, man, just weep.
I,
It's
I
fine.
know, but yeah. So,
Uh,
yeah. So,
I don't
what's
hold back.
are there parts of the old you that either of you secretly miss?
I was gonna ask that one. Huh.
Sorry.
It's a good one.
No, I'm trying to think. For me, man, I was in addiction for so long. I didn't know I didn't know who I was. So to be honest, I mean, the only thing I could really say, and this wouldn't pertain to who I was, I did miss having a group of people who wanted to hang out with me and I thought actually cared about me. So I guess you could say not being alone I missed, but now I love being alone, so it's kind of contradicting. I don't miss really anything about the old me. I'm very proud of who I've become.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
That's my real
yeah.
answer.
That's good. I would say, along similar lines, I think I'm a more well-rounded person at this point. So I
Mhm.
can't really say that I miss the old me, because the old me was very closed off, was very much dishonest about who I was, and could only go halfway on the things that I actually liked about myself. So at this point, I do miss the ability to I've lost some friends. I've lost some friends, and it wasn't a outward, like, we can no longer hang out. It was more, you stop receiving those phone calls to do
Yep.
things that you used to do. And some of these friends were people that I knew beyond just drinking. So it was kind of weird to me. But I think because I lost the ability to do those things, at least in their eyes, because I don't limit myself currently with what I do in terms of I don't avoid places where there are alcohol who's up there. I don't. At this point, and not everybody can do that. So I'm blessed every single day to feel that I can do that. The old me's was so much different in a lot of negative ways that situationally, I missed the ability to play golf and drink. That's
Yeah.
kind of about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Kind of
Golf
about
and
it.
drinking hand in hand for me. So I haven't golfed much in the past 14 months, I'd say.
Yeah. And I thought I was pretty funny when I was drinking and golfing. Like I think I hit a different type of humor that I probably is going to take a little bit to tap back into, but it's there. I just got to figure out how to reach it. But I miss that. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I don't miss a lot because I'm so much happier now in my sobriety than I ever was even at my best day drinking, to be honest. And I'm not just saying that for the show. Really am happier on a regular day sober than I was on my best party night. But I do sometimes miss impulsively doing karaoke and stuff like that, like doing things without thinking, like I could probably do karaoke sober. I thought about it. I think about it though. That's the thing. I don't go out and do it. So like some of those like random party situations where you're kind of in the group of people and kind of being the life of the party. I've kind of missed being that aspect every now and again. Just the fact that I was more loud and a little more out there. But now it's like people, I think, laugh at me more just because I make jokes like one on one and stuff, or like casually, like
Mm-hmm.
a little less look at me attitude. But still, sometimes I kind of miss that whole life of the party feeling every now and again, just because, now it's like, I don't get contacted that often anymore. So it was kind of nice feeling kind of like, oh, what's going on tonight, Ryan? Like, like as if I was the guy coordinating a fun night. And that was kind of a cool
Right.
feeling to have, that people like look to me for a fun night. But at the same time, I look back at that part and I'm like, great, I was that guy they could rely on for a real party, like, oh, he's probably gonna have all the alcohol. He's probably gonna set us up with cocaine or something. So it's like I don't want to be that anymore, but I kind of miss feeling cool like that sometimes. But I know the morning after I'd feel like crap, so it's not really worth it.
Well, you
Yeah,
are
you
cool
are kind
now.
of mourning a breakup in a way.
Thank you. Thank you,
You
Rachel.
know, and I actually wrote down some thoughts on this a day ago, where giving up on alcohol is in some ways similar to giving up on a relationship, even if the relationship is bad. Like there are still things that you miss about it, and there are still things that you're so comfortable with that, for the same reason why people have a hard time breaking up in a bad relationship, is that you're used to the uncomfortability more than you're used to the
Mhm.
unknown of what.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you remove alcohol, there is a gap that's missing, and so it's like a breakup, and you have to get used to the breakup and mourn the breakup.
That's so
I
true, and I
like
think
that.
that's why a lot of us are so delayed on quitting, because we do have the fear of the unknown, just like a toxic relationship. It's
Yes.
like I don't want to know what it's like going to be alone again, so I'm happy to fight with this person every night, because I don't know what it's going to be like when I'm by myself in bed the next night, So it's kind of like alcohol. It's like, if I don't know if I want to get rid of this can or this bottle, because I don't want to know what reality feels like anymore, because what if
Yeah.
all my problems hit me like a freight train? So
Oh, that
you said it
wine bottle
perfectly.
was my friend. That wine bottle
Yeah.
was my friend. It really
Yeah.
was. I was alone in that room for hours with those wine bottles. So those were my friends. I mean, and this would lead me into my answer, but I have a question, but I have an answer. This kind of ties into this though. But what's something about sobriety that nobody warned you would hurt this much? Do you want me to answer first, or do you want to go, Joseph? You want
What's
me to go
something about
first?
sobriety and nobody warned you?
Yeah. You want to go, Ryan?
No, can you say the question one more time? Because I want to
That
gather it in my
you know,
ADD brain.
okay. That nobody really warned you about in sobriety that's going to hurt, but you got to make it dark.
Ooh, definitely that all amends and resentments won't clear up as fast or at all. the way you want them to. Because I thought some relationships that they would, that my actions would speak for themselves, that I was making efforts and this and that. But some people, they still don't give a shit. And that's a harsh truth to find out. No matter how much hard work you put into yourself, some people still aren't going to like you based on what you did back when you were drinking. And I found out the hard way from a few people. And it's definitely humbled me a lot, knowing that, hey, I can still work on myself, but they're still going to tell me to F off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say I made this point a couple of days ago with a friend of mine. He actually has he brews beer. He was there with me when I got sober, and he came to visit me, and we actually did a podcast together. I made this point that a lot of addicts tend to look at their past, and they look at all the things that they did wrong or that they didn't do, didn't accomplish, and they put it all under the umbrella of this happened or this did not happen because I was an addict. And I made the point that once you get sober and you realize who you are and who you're not, you can honestly look at your past and say, you know what? I didn't do that thing because I was a lazy piece of shit. It had nothing to do with me being an alcoholic. It had nothing. That was just my excuse. Or I made those comments, right? I did that thing and hurt that person because I'm just an asshole. And I used the alcohol as an excuse as to why I did that thing. And I brought up the example. It's similar to when out with a spouse or somebody, and night's great, and then you have an argument and it tarnishes the rest of it. We'll look at that thing that happened and think that ruined everything, and you forget about all the good stuff, and you focus so hard on the incident that happened that it ruins everything else. And so I look back on the things that I did when I was drunk or was thinking about drinking and was just like, you know what, I'm so hyper focused on the drinking that I can't accomplish all these things. And I put it all on alcohol. Like alcohol was the problem. I was the problem. I added alcohol to me. And when you add alcohol to me, who is the problem, you get a bigger problem.
Yeah.
So true. That's so true. My God.
Mm-hmm. Yep. For me, it was the harsh reality that nobody in the world is going to come and save you. Nobody's going to hold their hand out and be like, come on, like, let's go. And day one of sobriety, I jumped on the scale. If you didn't know this about me, Joseph, or if we have first time listeners, day one of sobriety, I took on a new job. And day one of sobriety, I decided to jump on the scale because I was highly overweight. And I see 221 pounds. And I always say this really was my reaction. I literally said, oh, hell no. Like, I literally went, oh, hell no. I was having gastro issues and stuff like that. It was day one of sobriety, so I knew I had to make a lifestyle change. But nobody told me that it was going to be a lonely journey, a personal journey. Nobody warned me about that. And sobriety is a personal, lonely journey. Nobody's going to save you. Nobody's going to hold your hand. Nobody's going to make you go to the gym. Nobody's going to make you not drink or use. You are going to do it if you want to do it. That's it, point blank, period. Nobody warned me about it. I thought I was going to go into AA and crack open a book and that's just how it works. No, you have to do the work. And you have to do the work. You have to do the work. It's nobody else. So that's what I learned. And I learned that very early on because I lost everybody other than my fiance and obviously my son. I had no one, and my fiance is not in recovery. So yes, it was a lonely journey because I could go up to my fiance and say, I'm sad and I feel like drinking. He doesn't understand that feeling. He doesn't understand that feeling because he could have 2 beers at a game and be completely fine. I'm like, how the fuck did you do that? Because I would have been hammered. And he's like, I just did. Like, so he never understood. So regardless of being in this relationship that I'm in, he's a great man. He's taking care of me, but he doesn't understand recovery. So it's lonely. It's a very personal thing, regardless if you're in a relationship or not. But your partner needs to be your backbone. And he
That's
has
true.
been. But it's a very, very lonely personal journey. And so is weight loss, and so is getting healthy. All of that. It's all
Yeah,
about you.
you can have a million people saying, "Hey, I got your back," or "Hey, congratulations," and encouraging you, but like in the end, it's all just you. You know, you're the one who has
Yeah.
to put the boots on in the morning and get your shit done. So it's definitely lonely is a great way to describe it, especially at first when
Yeah.
you're really getting used to it.
100%
Yeah, I
true.
mean, who's gonna be up with you at 3 a.m. when you have insomnia? Your supporters, those people who say that they got your back? No,
Right.
because they're sleeping. This is a lonely thing. It's a
Yep.
personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
Yep.
absolutely is. And when you do well, like you you love the fact that you were able to do it by yourself. In
Yeah.
some ways, like you wish you had the support, but you love that you were able to overcome this by yourself. Just the flip side of that, when you're down, down in the dumps, and not having that little pick me up, you wish it was there. So it's
Mhm.
it's a double-edged sword with that, but you absolutely do it by yourself because there's so many more moving pieces than anybody who says they will support you even knows about. There's so many different things that's going through your head. There's so many different branches that sobriety touches that you
Mhm.
have to learn to navigate. And you'd burn too many people out trying to say, this is what I'm worried about in this moment, I'm worried about in that moment. When I go out later on, that's what I'm going to be worried about. And so it's
Yeah.
it's almost better in some ways if you can handle it, some of it anyway, on your own, but it's definitely wrong.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
a good way to put it. So that brings me to another question. If you guys could go back, drink, use again with zero consequences, would you?
When you say
Like one-time
consequences,
deal?
Zero
Like, yeah,
consequences, like no hangover, no repercussions, no jail, no hospital. Just get away with it one time.
that's a hard one for me because, I mean, I wanna be honest. I mean, yeah, I would. I hate to say that. I mean, if there was absolutely no consequences, because there was always a consequence. So, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
There's always a consequence. I mean, yeah, I'd say the same similar answer. It's like if I was really having one of those rough days where I was about to lose my cool, and I've gotten through quite a few of them sober recently, I would have been nice to shut my brain off for a couple hours. And if that was the case, then I felt fine afterwards and then I could face the problems, then sure. But that's the reality of it is there always is consequences. So it's a very moot question to be honest, but it's I
Yeah,
would do it if I could shut my brain off. Sure.
for a good time, I would do it, not to numb. Just one last time, a good time with no consequences, maybe.
good time, and that's a good point because it wasn't all bad. It wasn't all bad. If I could do it knowing that it wasn't going to result in me spiraling downwards, like that would be the consequence that I'm worried about. But you add in, say something stupid, ruin a relationship, get arrested, all that good stuff. Like, okay. But if it does result in, could potentially result in me carrying forward that mentality, then no. But if it was
Right.
purely, like Groundhog Day, you're not going to necessarily goes back to normal the next day, and I have the same mentality now. Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
answers. Yeah. I'm glad we're all honest on that one because that is a tough question. You mentioned
we're
the
at
word
it.
normal. You mentioned the word normal. It brings me to another question, unless Rachel has another after this. But do you ever feel like you don't fit in with normal people, normal, sober people?
Yeah.
Sober people?
Normal, sober people, just normal people.
I don't think I'm normal to begin with. I mean, like, I can I can fit in with just about anybody. Doesn't matter what you're into. You throw me at a party with any type of, you know, any group of people, I'll acquiesce. I'll figure out my way. But I don't think the way that I think is normal. I
Yeah.
don't. I don't think the way that I see the world is normal. It makes me good at my job.
Yeah.
It makes it a little bit more difficult to live day to day because I'm an overthinker who's very analytical. You know, I'll pick apart any little thing that happens or that I hear, or, so again, when it comes to my job, it makes me great because I see the world and I see information a little bit different. It served me very well with how I approached sobriety, because I didn't look at it purely from I'm going to go through these predefined steps, and I'm like, no, I'm going to do those things, but I'm also going to take the approach with the way that I think, because it's the way that I see my sobriety going in what I know, a place I have to get to mentally to fully buy in. Because if I don't buy in, and I can see, like, hey, your steps got me to, and I don't mean necessarily 12 steps, but just anything that's recommended, got me to a year sober. Like, I will look at that and say that's great, but if I'm not completely buying in because I need to see myself progress in a different way, then I'm susceptible to going back to what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm different. I think I'm different, and which helps me, but it doesn't allow me to fit in, at least internally.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Rachel?
Other sober people, and I'll bring ADHD into it. So I'll talk about, I mean, I don't care if people think I'm weird. I really don't give a fuck what people think about me at all. I'll dance in the middle of a crowd, sober, drunk, whatever. I will climb on top of a boulder and have to be helped off of it when I first meet somebody, like when I met you, Ryan. I don't care. I'm myself. Now, around other sober people, I have been looked at kind of, I've noticed people like be like, wow, like that was kind of stupid, like that was weird, like, and I don't care, but at the same time I kind of low key do. I'm like, they think I'm weird, and I know it's my ADHD, I know I'm hyper, I know I could be a little, but then the correct people have come into my life who accept me and know my ADHD and know that I'm neurotic, and sometimes like tell me to just sit down because I do work at a desk, and I have coworkers, or had coworkers. I just got a new job, but that would be like, okay, Rachel, like you don't even need to be standing right now. Sit down. Like sit down, scan. Okay. Focus, focus, focus. Those are the right people you need in your life that don't make fun of you and that laugh at you, like not laugh at you, with you, like you're having a good time and stuff like that, not actually laughing at you. And my old clique of friends, I had ADHD my whole life. They would all make fun of me when I was drunk and I was acting a fool. My ADHD was like flaring up, and record it and talk about me behind my back. And now that I'm doing it sober without the alcohol, the right people are there to even guide me to kind of be like, okay, stop, chill. You don't need to like run
Yeah.
down the aisle like a 12-year-old, like at a grocery store. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm able to be
Exactly.
myself. I'm able to be weird and embrace it more. But sometimes I do feel a little uncomfortable around, sober people, because I'm like, I don't know, they think I'm weird. So it's kind of contradicting my answer. I don't care, but I do kind of, because I'm talking about it. So
No, that makes sense. I mean, I think the words weird and normal are like really annoying words because, like, what is normal? It's like you go into a foreign country, they do things differently, but we'd say that's weird, but for them, that's normal. It's like I just think that I've always had a skewed view on the world, anyways. So it's like I feel like I've been considered weird or whatever since I was a kid. My mom always like, you're just weird. I'm just like, whatever. I'm just different. I
from your
say
mother.
stupid things. I do stupid things. I'm unpredictable. Sometimes I'm impulsive. Like, I don't know. So it's just, I don't think I've had trouble making friends in sobriety and with any kind of person, whether they're drinkers. I mean, I'm definitely drawn to more sober people now than people that party all the time, obviously. But I don't think I've had trouble, fitting in that much because I feel like if you look at my people I consider friends, they're all different ages, genders, backgrounds, rich, poor, it doesn't matter. And I just feel like I always had that outlook with people, even when I was drinking or before drinking. So it's like never really had trouble fitting in a sense. It's just because I'm a pretty diverse person as far as my personality goes. I probably have like 10 personalities. So it all works out.
Yeah, I think my
Okay.
patience for people has lessened.
Lessons? Okay.
Yeah, it's lessened. I think now that I've gotten sober, and I don't necessarily know if there's a reason behind it. Maybe it was a shame and just embarrassed me thing, or I was like, who the hell am I to question who they are when secretly I'm this alcoholic deviant. But I think now that I am thinking clearer and I have these goals that I'm trying to hit, I have less time for small talk. I have less time to just
BS with people.
engage in conversations that are not serving anything. And don't get me wrong, I will just sit there and BS and joke around. It's just when it's time to go, it's time to go. So
Yeah.
my
The
patience-
priorities are different now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the same way. Yeah. I'm kind of over all the BS just because my life was filled with BS for 17 years. I'm kind of like, so now it's like, sometimes I feel like I'm sometimes judgmental when people just aren't taking certain things seriously or whatever. But yeah, maybe my patience has kicked on a little bit, you know, but I don't always vocalize it. Sometimes I do more often than not, like these days, because I used to hold back on speaking my mind. So I'm glad in sobriety, at least when I am not patient about something, I say something so that whatever it was happens a lot less. Yeah. So Rachel, did you have any other questions you wanted to bring up today?
I mean, I have another one and one more. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
like to use the word ick, but I'll use it for this question. What instantly gives you guys the like ick around other drunk people while you're sober?
I would say the false sense of confidence, because I know exactly where it's coming from. And when I see people only opening up or talking shit or calling me out on something when they've had a few drinks, I'm just like, whatever. Like in my head, I'm just like, whatever. Talk to me when your liquid confidence is done, you know, because you're only saying this shit because you're drinking. And that definitely gives me the ick when people are just obviously like, feeling themselves and they think they can say something to me that they wouldn't say had they not had the drinks. And that definitely like rubs me the wrong way every time that happens. It doesn't happen often, but I can see right through them.
I get that.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I mean, I don't see it as often. I think I used to see that more when I was drinking because I would put myself in more of those situations to see it. But I think it's the creepiness of men talking to women. I see that more often than I used to. And because maybe at that time I didn't care as much, or I was too all over the place to really hone in. I mean, like I still look at people now and I think to myself a couple of things like, oh, I wish I could do that. But then when they go overboard, I'm like, I'm glad I don't drink anymore because I don't want to look like that. And I wouldn't say that falls into the ick category, but if I continue to look at people, I will notice creeps. And that bothers me like crazy.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably, people being jackasses and, I could still find the humor in it as long as they don't get too far, for the most part. But I think the creepiness is something I'll never, whether I'm sober or drunk.
Yeah. Well, it kind of goes along with what I was
Me
saying about
either.
the liquid courage thing. It's like I see a guy just like making passes at a girl. And I'm like, dude, you wouldn't normally do that had you not had a few shots, you know? I'm just like, grow up, you know? But I was like, I was probably that guy at some point. So it's like
shoot your shot, but have a little social awareness of it's really not landing and nobody likes it.
Yeah. And don't be a douche. Don't be a creep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
Well,
mean, I didn't get approached much, I'm not gonna lie, because of my resting bitch face. And a lot of people in my town knew of me. So I didn't get hit on often. But even if I did, I took it as a form of disrespect because people knew I was with John. So that's how I would end up in fights with men.
Yep.
But so my ick really is just actually a little bit different. I mean, we could definitely. I like what you said. I like what both of you said. But Ryan, yeah, the self-confidence thing. Like, bitch, say that shit to my face tomorrow when you're sober. Let's talk that shit over again. Let's run that back. But
Let's run that
no,
back.
let's run that shit back. But say it to my face. But no, I cannot smell alcohol now. Like I can't smell it. So and I'll know if somebody had a drink a few hours ago. Like if somebody walks past me and it's just on their clothing or even on their breath and they brush their teeth or something hours later, because it does come back up from your stomach medically. It does. It comes back out of your breath. No matter how much you brush your teeth, you could try. It's going to come back up. But that, I don't like that. If John were to have drank, he knows, don't come near me. Don't try to kiss me. It grosses me out. Like, to the point I'll gag. Even if somebody's talking to me and they're really drunk and they're close to me and they're just like, "Ah," and they're all over me, that really annoys me. The sloppiness of it, that annoys me. The sloppiness.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was that person. So it's like, damn, I hate judging that because I was that sloppy person. But it's annoying, and I don't want to smell you, and I don't want your body weight on me. So get off of me. But
Yeah,
yeah, that kind of stuff gives me
yeah,
the ick.
I could see that because my mother plays in dart leagues and pool leagues, and so they're always at bars, and I'll
Yeah.
go there and watch her, and it's in the old town that I grew up in, or at least within 15-mile radius. And I'll always end up engaging in a conversation with someone who, yeah, just talks forever. You can tell they
Yeah.
just won't know when to stop. And it's not really an ick, it's more just like an annoyance. And we
Yes.
wouldn't even be talking if you weren't drunk. There was nothing about my appearance or my resting bitch face that looked inviting at all. I know it. So I try to be kind, so I will talk, and for a time it's fine, but they don't know when to just cut it off. And
Yeah.
I look at them and I say, they're having such a good time that I'm not just going to be the asshole and be like, listen to fucking this. But
Right?
I want to. I'm just not. Yeah. And so it's more of an annoyance than an ick.
Mm-hmm.
All good
Yeah,
answers
definitely.
to some really good questions. The
Yeah.
good thing is, like, we keep using the term "I was that person," "You were that person,"
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is we can use it in the past tense now because 3 of us are sober and we're here to help anybody who has the desire to get sober. So I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
we're here now, though. So we can look at these things differently. We can look at them as a way to help people because I'm sure a lot of those people that act that way now probably in their head really want to quit. A lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yep. Awesome. Any last
Unfortunately.
words from anyone?
No, this was fun.
Just say thank you for having me on.
This was awesome. Thank you for
I
talking all
enjoy
these.
these conversations. I enjoy these types of questions because, like I said, I don't want to prepare for any types of questions, but these questions, how am I even going to think about preparing for them? I can't even plan ahead for what maybe they'll ask because
I know.
these were questions that I wouldn't have anticipated, and I love that. So I'm
Yeah,
happy
it's
to be on.
good to have to improvise and think off the top, especially in sobriety.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, Joe, for joining the show. And thank you for all the listeners who tuned in today. All right.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.